This is Dave, W7NCX. I'm gonna, I guess, turn it over to Brad. Did you want to take this, Brad, tonight? Or should I keep on taking it?
Can facilitate. We'll see what comes up, and I'll need some assistance with answering questions and make sure my other radios are turned down here. I'm Brad at 70R. I'm out here in the south end of Whidbey Island. The admin team kind of tossed over the last couple of weeks the idea of getting these some type of online training or get together going again. There were some sessions back in 2020, and they just kind of petered out. So now we have a Zoom account that's, well, a real one, no limitations. So this is kind of a test run today because we were more familiar with the Jitsi format, or Jitsi platform. This is certainly, it seems like a lot of clubs are using the Zoom platform, so a lot more hams are familiar with this, and certainly there's a larger feature set involved with Zoom to maybe do some of the stuff we want to do. So tonight's, especially since the net ran a little longer than normal, this is kind of a test run for us to see how Zoom is going to work with a larger group. And for anyone who had something they want to bring to the table that may have been a pressing issue for them, either with their radios. In this way, we can share your screen or share our screen and perhaps show you rather than explain, which is certainly a better way to cover an issue. And or if he has more concerns about the system and what's going on with the system, there's a lot of plumbing in this system. So certainly things mostly go right, way more than they go wrong. But sometimes you don't know what's happening behind the scenes to cause that issue. So we can toss that around too. We're going to make this a very long session tonight. Again, we're just kind of feeling the water with how this is going to work with folks. And so is there, I guess, for lack of better, anything better, anyone got a concern or a question about either the radio or the system that we can address?
Someone has their hand up, Jim, K7LL.
Okay, all right, I see that, K7LL. Yes, Jim, go ahead. You have to unmute.
Hi, so I have a couple little questions. First, I've heard on several reports about the system issues today, and on one or two of the messages that went out to the list that the announcements were made that they're having issues. And I didn't get any of those through any of the group IOs or figured out what was going on. So I'm curious, am I missing somewhere where I would have found that there was a major system in place? I think that probably even took my repeater down for a while. I would guess if it is what I think it is, because I'm on the E-bridge. I run the Pullman repeater.
Okay.
Well, I'll take that.
Okay.
I'm primarily keeping that stuff. Made announcements on the nets. The news file was updated on the PNW main or primary IO group. And it is also shown on the repeater page. It shows those assets being down. So I did not actually email any notices out to the larger groups. Yeah, you would have had to make an affirmative effort to look for the loss of these assets. And I try not minimize the number of emails I send out on the main group. And that's just because I see the admin side. You send out a bunch of emails, people unsubscribe rather than go to special or digesting. The main group is a catch-all, trying to keep the traffic off the main for code plugs and for the MMDVM servers. So a lot of effort try not to send out superfluous emails when all that information is easily available, especially on the repeater page, while the status of all our assets are there. So anyway, Jim, that's why you didn't get anything. We didn't push anything out.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to monopolize the group either, but I do have just a general tech question then, if there's interest in doing that. I've heard a lot about APRS digital, and I know there's been a big work on that. I'm not even sure how one would set up the radio to do that and what the actual capabilities gained through that would be to take advantage of that. And then what would have to be done on the MMDVM repeater side to support that so that I can add that capability to the Pullman repeater.
Well, I think setting up the MM, or in your case, the MM repeater, is just adding the data path to your manager. It's that simple. As far as setting up your radios, we have some APRS pages on the web with help specifically for setting up the anytones with screens and circles and you know, what you need to put into the anytone to get the data side working. Now, as far as I know, nobody is doing APRS digital over MM, the hotspots or repeaters. Somebody may be doing it. I just haven't seen it. So you might be a guinea pig if you want to mush forward with that.
Okay, I will give that a go then. See what I can find. Is there a reference somewhere on the specifics of the settings on the MM? Because from day one I put like the APRS server path or something like that in there, but I'm not sure that that's actually, is that all that's needed, or is there some other program I have to load on there? Because I thought I saw some announcement about a specialized or a modified version of PyStar or some other Python script that had to be loaded or replaced.
Well, not for APRS digital. It's all in the radio. The anytones actually support it quite well. And when you get it set up, you'll get a pop-up compass when your radio hears somebody else that's on the network, and you'll know their distance, call sign, and direction. And that actually is now working on the analog side too with the latest releases. That info is, I think offhand, website, and add APRS/APRS, I think brings up a menu of pages, and then you can look for APRS digital, and there'll be some anytone examples in there. And by the way, Jim, is your repeater actually deployed, or is it still like at your house? I've heard, well, I don't know what its status is, so I'm just kind of curious if you got it up and running.
Yeah, it actually is in Pullman. It is and has been deployed and in production. I have used it around town in Pullman. The antenna is still at the compromised height. I'm still working on the politics to get the lift up to the site. I've got to drive over a USDA test farm field with a four-wheel drive vehicle and a tow behind lift in order to get to the top of the tower, because it's a no-climb tower. You have to use other methods to get there. So once I get all the politics lined up, I will get the antenna raised. That will get me about another 60 feet of altitude, 50 feet of altitude. So that will probably increase the range.
Okay. Yeah.
I have done some tests from Palouse, which is where W7VFQ is at there. From a high part of that town, which is like 20 miles away from the repeater site, my 878 with the antenna that Let's Get Ready ships with it is able to get a response, in that I get the triple beeps back when I try and key up the repeater, but I've never actually gotten a reply or received a reply back. So I think it's right there on the edge of what the HT can do that far away. The extra height should make a difference, I would think.
Okay. Well, thank you. Good to know. And by the way, I think you had internet issues. I've been playing with OT cheap SIMs in LTE routers and having good success, if that's of any interest to you. So anyway, I'll move on. I guess Abe,
Yeah, I had,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. When I first deployed it, I was using an LTE router, and just the quality of the LTE data path was less than stellar. And then at some point, I don't know what happened, but it chewed through 6 gigabytes of data in 24 hours. And so I think I got shut down at that point for excessive usage from my carrier. But since then, I have deployed a link directly onto my fiber, and I've got one wireless hop into my fiber, and it's on a native 44 net now. So my AMPR subnet. So it should be rock solid and fully functional on real internet now.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jim. I guess back to you, Brad. Sorry to take so long.
Not an issue. That's what it's for. Great, Jim. Thanks for the 2 questions. Any looking for any other hands that are up? And if your hand isn't up, you have a question, small enough groups, go ahead and say what you want. Larry, you're making some movement. What you got?
Jumped up on the counter. I'm trying to get him down. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Very good. Other questions, system related, radio related. If things work, we can answer those tonight. We have a few more minutes we can play with this.
Brad, we got one in chat.
Okay, I got to move over there. I kind of lowered my chat window to.
Yeah, I can restate it. Has to do with Mount Scott, and he was saying that he was losing the net over there, and I was wondering if there might be a programming issue as far as the timer on Mount Scott for Washington 2 for keeping it full time for the net.
No,
I'd
Mr.
have to go.
Seaford?
Oh, sorry. I'd have to go look and check the programming out for that.
Okay.
No changes. So I don't know why. This is on the SAR side. Is that the point
No.
being made?
No, this would be I that was my initial thought.
Oh,
And this is a I-84 group,
Okay.
Mount Scott.
yeah. Those are all programmed the same, so it should stay up until, well, at least 8 o'clock.
And that's what he was saying, is that he was losing after 1 hour. So maybe if we could have another half hour on there.
Okay. I'll make a note. Add that to my list.
Okay, thank you.
The list that seems to use most of the paper in Mike's shack. That's a big list, Mike. All right. Any other questions? Looking for hands up. I'm kind of watching the chat now. Yes, Mr. NX70, Benton, go ahead.
Well, not a radio question or a network question. I just wanted to toss in a comment on Zoom meetings. Now that the pandemic seems to be beginning to wind down and things are opening back up, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of Zoom meetings. I've been to more meetings for radio clubs and things than I have in any prior year, just because I can do it from the comfort of my own chair here. I'm with Tiger CERT and the ham radio group there, and we're trying to get more radio training sessions going. And in the past, we've used one of the city's auditoriums. It's such a nuisance to get the keys, to get everybody organized, for me to get home from work, get dinner, get over there. If I could do that as a Zoom meeting, which I think we can, that's how we're going to go. The only thing we can't do is a lot of hands-on chirp loading of HTs for our new folks. But Zoom meetings, I think, are just the best thing since sliced bread. So my 2 bits. Good evening. Thanks.
Yeah, Benton, I think a lot of organizations are finding the value of that. The ham clubs, certainly this has been very helpful in keeping them together. I'm with a couple of groups that, well, we use Jitsi and others, but they maintain their presence with each other, at least be able to see their mugs and be able to exchange some information and share their screen periodically to show their projects, what they're doing. And like I've seen at a group called WetNet locally, they use Jitsi, but it's not bad when you're using their server, no more than 15, 20 people probably, and they can share a screen and show what they're doing. And they're a bunch of Linux guys too, so they're showing code and stuff that just makes my head spin. So it's fun to watch, but they have a good time with it. And this is probably even after people can still get back together. There are going to be organizations that find this to be a very useful way to get together, talk over some stuff, share a screen or two, maybe in a PowerPoint like I've done in the past with some of my DMR presentations, and never have to take your fuzzy slippers off. And especially if I'm on the island, anytime I don't have to cross the damn ferry to go someplace, that's so I'm all for it. So Mike was good enough to get this account set up for us. We've got it for at least a year, try out, and I think we will put it to some use. Now, yeah, you do lose out a bit with the guy who just can't mechanically get everything together, and dealing with a USB port and to a COM port if that's the case, or drivers and whatnot. Yeah, you may have to really touch a radio, but there we get into the Elmer situation. Great, you find someone to meet up in person and kind of make that happen. I think a lot of stuff you can probably get away with on a Zoom type platform. So absolutely, we've got this.
Chime in?
Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'm all in favor of it. We've all done in favor of it. We've all done a lot of Zoom, and us getting into it again seems kind of bass backwards, I suppose. But we saw it for a couple other reasons. Was support, even one-on-one or two-on-one support, where we share a programming screen. Just trying to get these new folks up with their radios and the programming of it, and they're saying they're doing this or that, and you really can't follow along. But if you can see their screen, whether you can control it or not, you can certainly say, move your cursor over here or there, and ultimately get them to click where it needs to be done. But the visual is huge. So we're going to try that. And just having a pay account gets rid of that 40-minute timer, which was a pain because it takes a while to set up each session. You got to change all the settings for, and including your name, renaming it for this particular purpose. So it's nice to have that set up, and we're using it for back channels now instead of Jitsi. I think that worked well tonight. And the other thing I'll add is there's a poll in the IO group on using the virtual option, and there's about 100 responses there, and a few of them stick out noticeably in what people want. So if you haven't seen that, you may want to go over and look at it. Just look at polls. It's like the second or third poll down from the top. And yeah, hopefully it takes off. The other thing, and this was the part that I didn't like, is our tech sessions have fallen off. We're down to maybe 1 or 2 questions, like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. We only had 2 or 3 questions. And I don't know if it's the interest is just waning, or summer is coming and folks are out now, whatever, or it's been a year of Zoom and they're zoomed out, or just busy. At any rate, we see a lot of different uses for it. I hope it'll take off, and we're just trying different things. So if you have comments, great to hear them tonight, or send them to support, or look at the poll and see what you think of what other folks are suggesting we do, like in the way of scheduled presentations versus like tonight's just it's kind of roundhouse impromptu, but we ultimately would probably get to some scheduled specific presentations and may look at a different night, different time. And there are 8 people have volunteered to do presentations so far. Just in the poll, there's 8 volunteers. Okay, thank you, Brad.
Yeah, good follow-up, Mike. The one-on-one tech support, one-on-two tech support is going to be a big thing too. That just breezed right over me. I got on my own rant about everyone likes Zoom, but that's another point too, that there's been a lot of Zoom going on. So yeah, maybe I tried to get in with the PNW or the Pacific Northwest QRP group today on the air. There's 3 of us running 5 watts, and it was all right. Then the Zoom session had fewer than normal, so maybe it's a combination of no one in front of the computer, longer days, going out and doing stuff. So yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, Dave.
Yeah, so I might I think our concern was basically the tech session on the Wednesday night. Is where we saw the big drop off. We were still seeing a big increase in people who are looking for a lot of one-on-one stuff, and people that weren't necessarily wanting to bring stuff to the group. And it was creating some support crunches for us, and trying to get our time on the system, and still try to help people through things. Part of my thought with this is that maybe we could do those sessions to try to help people along. And I guess to some extent, I don't always know what people need to know, and because it all makes sense to me now. Once upon a time it didn't, now all of a sudden it does. So if people do have requests or questions, or things that they think should be clarified, or ideas for that, I would like to hear about them, and maybe we could try to put those together. Back over to you, Brad.
Yeah, we could do a variety of things. I'm just trying to go through looking for that poll. There's some folks that want to present that would be spectacular, more than the usual cast of characters that tends to do things. Yes, Larry.
I don't want to cut you off, but I have a question regarding setting levels, audio levels.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, thanks to Dave for kind of spearheading it and giving us something objective to look at. And I think it's really helped a lot. But some days my potentiometer on the volume gets a good workout. And I know for the FM radios, there is a procedure for setting up, like Motorola has a procedure for setting up the radios. And I wonder if there is a similar procedure for Moto Turbo radios that I might get some documentation on to understand a little bit better how that's done. I used to do a lot of level settings on microwave and digital fiber systems, and that was a slam dunk. We had set levels, and we used to just set it up, and it worked great. But this is a little different here, and I just wonder if there's some documentation that I could study just to be a little more informed.
All right, you're talking digging into the radio and like service monitor, do real tuning stuff, because CPS will let you do a little bit of stuff, right? It's user level. Right, but you used to on the old FM days, you used to just put an input, an audio input at a certain frequency, and you adjust the deviation, and you don't really have that luxury with DMR. So I just wondered, what is the procedure that Motorola has
for setting levels on a DMR system.
Well, I'll take a stab at it. I played with
Good.
DMR a lot in the old days. The audio, for the most part, us common folks do not have the tools to be able to intelligently or objectively set audio levels. We do it really by comparison, and we got a couple of ways to compare. I did the first audio meter. I have a 50 segment LED here, vertical, green, yellow, reds, like you would typically see on an audio VU meter. I have used for years Motorola 6500 HT, blow touch tone 5, and I set my meter to 1 red segment. That gets everybody that's got decent and close audio in the yellow range of the meter. So that's my calibration, and I've had this on this one radio for years, and it's just right in front of me. It's easy to see how many folks are hitting all 50 elements or segments of the meter versus some that are so soft that my meter has squelched or muted 4 lit segments at the bottom. Some people, when they key up, it drops down to 2 segments. They are so low. Audio is historically, for 10 years I played with it, been a problem with DMR. We have a VU meter now, and the calibration on it is pretty plain, and you have to just set your own audio to kind of match that using a combination of stuff like syllabants. Sally sells seashells down by the seashore, 444, the kind of the stuff you did over the air with FM. But with the VU meter, you can see where your audio is. And then Dave has come up with the online VU meter, and it actually does some stuff that isn't apparent from the normal screen, but you can do averages by call, averages by talk group, system average audio, so you can see where the audio should be, and you have a target. So it's convoluted and it's not elegant, but it can be used by any ham on the network versus having, the $40,000 Aeroflex with the DMR options in it that actually can let you set this stuff correctly. We don't have that, or most of us don't have it. Larry probably has one. No, Jim has one. But not in the biz, and we don't have that kind of money for test equipment sit in the basement for a rainy day. So long answer. Audio, there's 4 or 5 different audio pages on the web that go back years historically showing what we've done with Motorola to get it working correctly across the masses of people. And that's the problem. Some people just blast, others are soft, and like you say, you exercise the volume control. I actually have a Motorola HT that the volume control's about gone, and the detents on the channel switch are about gone because I used it for 10 years. It was I still have a working original Motorola HT from 2008. So it is a crapshoot. We could do a whole presentation just on audio and show the meter and show all this stuff. And I think that's one of the suggestions in the poll was just that. So it might be one of the first things we'll give a shot. But we got to drum up more of the new folks, and how one does that, boy, I don't know. Just hit on it a little bit each night when we have an online session. Maybe it'll be like the go-to topic. Because I'm bothered enough by the audios that I don't listen to Wash 2 anymore. Wash 1 I turn off quite frequently, and I just listen to a couple talk groups that have fewer audio ranges to listen to, because I listen all the time. Oh, I'm talking too much. So I see Dave with his hand. Anyway, we have some tools. I'm glad you're interested. I hope more folks get interested in their audios, because that helps everybody else. Dave. Oh, Brad
Yeah,
and Dave talk.
I'll hit a couple things real quick.
Okay.
You know, first of all, the VU meter is down right now.
Oh, damn it,
Unfortunately,
Jim.
should be back up in a couple of days. But in addition to what we've done with the VU meter, it does not seem to pick up certain people right. I'm not sure that I can understand that, because I wrote the thing and I know the programming I put into it, and yet it just, there's a couple people that just don't really get picked by it right. So my second thought after that was to play with Parrot, and Duff was kind enough to do some pre-recording for me. And the thought was there is that if you heard Duff, then you heard your playback, then you heard Duff again, if you were considerably louder or considerably softer, you're the problem. Essentially, you need to set your audio level to something that sounds a little bit more so that it fits in. And of course, that's down right now too. So we'll see what we can do about getting that back up next week. And I think those clips were even a little out of balance. And Duff did another set for me, all from one sitting. So we'll get some new material up there, keep it fresh, and hopefully those will have a little bit of a better balance on them. And I think that that's potentially some combination of VU and Parrot is really the way to go to set audio levels. But there's people out there that we've talked to privately. There's people that we've talked to publicly that just don't change it. And, I don't know if it's perceive it, or they don't know how to change it, or don't care. I'm not really sure where it comes from, but there is some horrible audio out there, and it's really tough when in the car driving back and forth. So any ideas that anyone has on that, that I could either put into either of those two tools that I've mentioned or anything else, I'd love to hear about.
And by the way, Greg's been hanging in chat with a comment too.
I was going to wait until the topic was done. Can you hear me fine?
Sorry.
I'm trying a headset. I realize I haven't used this headset on Zoom before. I just want to make sure it's working. Yes. Well, I use Parrot and the Dave's VU meter, and I like the updated VU meter with the comparisons and the history of everybody, and that's pretty cool, Dave.
Thanks.
But that's how I mean, I think a big problem with what you're talking about, Mike and Dave, with the horrible level sets out there is people are not real honest when somebody asks for a signal report and they tell them they're fine when they're not.
Yep.
Oh, it's worse than that. Even if they say, no, you're hot. Oh, okay. They talk softer. And that lasts for about 2 minutes. It's just like somebody smoking in a restaurant. Well, in the old days, talking on their phone in a restaurant, they'll be quiet when somebody shushes them and gives them the hairy eyeball, but then they just naturally go back and they don't change. So yeah, it's too way too subjective.
I agree. But using the two tools, like Dave said, we just have to convince people to use them, I guess.
I think you are right, though, Greg. I do hear people say, boy, your audio sounds great. And, I'm hearing both of them. And, one guy's completely hot and blowing it out. And I'm thinking.
That's the classic, is one of them is really loud, one of them's way low, and they're both saying great. Yeah. Right.
Of course, when it's two people, if it was just you and me, I'm going to adjust my radio until I hear you right. and then I'm going to say, boy, Greg, you sound great. And you're going to do the same for me. It takes a witness that's hearing the whole side or who hasn't changed their radio settings to say, yeah, you're out.
Yeah, it takes a third party to kind of arbitrate it.
Yeah. So that's
and folks are
that's
different.
tough.
It's just some are receptive to it, some get irritated. We have tried sending them an email. We've tried doing something over the air. It's just it's a crapshoot, and some people get really bent. They unsubscribe. They leave because you moaned about their audio. So I don't know a good way to do it effectively, and that's separate from the technical issue. That's just the human side of dealing with it. So it's a sticky wicket and has been all the years I've been in DMR.
Well, I
Okay.
appreciate the tools that are there, and I want to learn more about it. And I appreciate the discussion here. Thanks a lot.
And Benton, I
You
saw
bet.
your notes here in chat. Glad that it makes sense now. And as far as your level, I think it's been better recently. I don't know, but I find that I'm not having to turn you up as often. So
If so, it's only because I'm projecting more.
Ben, are you using
Radio's up all the way,
what's your radio, Ben?
an 878.
Okay, so my 868, I have, what is it, 1 to 5? I have mine set to 5 on the mic audio.
Mhm.
And I find I have to talk pretty loud and close to get the meter and parrot the sound.
It's your enhanced audio enabled. I think the 86.
I played with all those settings. It didn't make a lot of difference.
Okay.
I
The one
tried
thing
both.
I did notice that one time a guy came in incredibly hot, and he was using an external speaker mic, and I thought, I got to get one of those. But
well,
then I'm stuck using a speaker mic, and yeah, that's a nuisance too. So, but whatever.
Don.
So,
Oh, that was Don waving
and
goodbye.
I did have another question for Mike. And I'm waiting a question
sure.
for Mike.
Okay.
So it took me a long time to figure out why I wasn't getting the announcements as emails. So on the IO groups, I subscribe to the digest just to keep the number of emails down.
Sure.
And every now and again, I discover some changes that you would put in the announcements, but I'm pretty sure you just go back and re-edit edit announcements, right? Which doesn't push out, when you do the edits, it doesn't create a new message.
That's
like I don't get an email from
that's
that.
right. You actually, that's so that I don't send out those emails over and over. And it requires folks, they want the news, you got to come get it. And that's my choice because I want to limit those emails going out.
Right.
I used to send them all out, and it just, folks are funny. They'll unsubscribe, but they won't digest or go special. They just leave. So, and the few that respond to when somebody leaves the group, the system sends them an email and say, well, what did we do wrong? How can we do better? That sort of thing. Looking for some feedback. What was the reason you left? And common reason is, well, there's too much email. Well, they're not digesting, they're getting singles. So that's one of the reasons why I do it that way. And then ultimately, every 6 months or so, I'll send that one message out and start a fresh post. Volume 3 will be coming, I think, on July 1st or thereabouts. So you are
Right.
one.
No, I totally understand why you do it, but it foils my method of keeping up, which is to read the digest.
Yeah, it's not pushed
and
out.
I do log into the group often. If I'm going to reply or do something, I'll actually log in the group to make sure I'm seeing the whole thread right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do the same. I don't normally respond via email. I like seeing the thread itself directly
Right.
and controlling
Exactly.
the quoting, etc.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, I'm done. Brad?
Yeah, there's someone else waving their hand. Did we miss anybody who had a question? The people started leaving the room, so the Brady Bunch thing changed, and I didn't keep track of who was.
Yeah, I thought that was Don, ND7P, and I think he was just waving goodbye.
Oh, okay. That was probably it.
That is one thing about Zoom that sucks, is the participant list. It's random. You can't tell who's doing what, where. It just jumps all over. Yeah, the waiting room actually was nice, because then you could see who you were letting in, and you kind of had some flow. But anyway.
Yeah. Everything. What do you do?
I know.
So, Robert, did you? I saw you ask the question about Rex and Bridget. Did that make sense for you?
Yeah, it did. Because when you had made the announcement, and Mike as well earlier, about the hotspot issues, and I was having some issue earlier, so I made that connection. But yeah, when I had turned on my radio, I couldn't hear Oregon or Cascade earlier when the happy hour was happening. So just wanted to get some feedback on that.
Okay. They do have different rules for different talk groups. A lot of times for nets, everything kind of comes on, and sometimes they don't. So that is one thing to think about. Bridget, one of the Bridgets is down and one is up, I believe. So that's another factor. Bridget and Rex are also different in that Rex is a 2-slot and Bridget's a single slot. So Rex and Demi are the two that we have that are 2-slot servers. And then let's see, Wes, Bridget, Susie, and Otis are single slots.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you. And I looked on the repeater page, and it is up. And Brad had mentioned, there is a different, I guess, administrator of that. So, but yeah, I was just trying to see if it was in any way connected. But yeah, I guess that's not the case. So, thank you.
Okay, and Mike, as far as the servers being able to level the audio, they just move digital data. The radio encodes it, and then that would be nice if we could do that, but unfortunately it does not work that way. The way VU works in a nutshell is it pulls down the signal and runs it through a DMR to analog converter, and then runs level checks on that. So I thought that, geez, you could just look at the digital packets. It just doesn't work that way. It drove me crazy for quite a while. So
yeah, if the C Bridge could equalize everything, wow, Mike would be one of the happiest campers in DMR.
Yep.
Indeed.
But it doesn't. All right, so I think we're gonna want to start wrapping this up soon, so like I could go to sleep. So any other?
Me too.
Yeah. Any more pressing questions that are coming up here from the peanut gallery that we can try to address? So far, pretty good stuff. What else you got?
Different day and time. Anybody with ideas, we're looking. By the
Yeah,
time we get started, I need to be out of here by 9 normally. So if we can do a different day or time, that's in the poll, and folks have responded to it. So we'll be considering that. But if you want to throw something out, please do.
y'all hung in there with us, so I guess at least there was some value to it.
Well, yeah, and there can certainly be a maybe a on-demand use of this. I don't know, ad hoc on-demand after the net. I mean, it starts drawing on here after 9 o'clock, like you said, and some people just don't want to hang, and I get that. So another day of the week would be great. Maybe, I don't know, Dave, part of your, would it help to maybe do something like on a Thursday night once people have been through the net, and then suddenly have, hey, I've got that question, and we can have a more regular Thursday night thing?
You know, I was thinking of like trying to put it in the middle of the net week. So, you know, putting it over towards Sunday. I was thinking of, you know, Wednesday, Thursday might be too quick. It might be nice because it's together and it might get the questions. I think anything we pick is either going to be, you know, right or wrong. And we've got like a coin toss.
Yeah, there's so much of this stuff going on the weekends already as it is.
Right.
A lot of groups. So my thought was Wednesday, a lot of topics come up. Someone just can't get in, doesn't want to get in, then they hold their question over to a Thursday session. I don't know. We can try it. Either it works or it doesn't.
Wednesday night is net night for me, so this works good for me, but if I haven't done the poll, I'll do it.
I mean, we can do it. I mean, that went a little longer than kind of
because of the tech issues.
Yeah, because of that. And yeah, it kind of helps to dovetail since we're all together anyway to kind of extend on beyond that, and you know, try to limit it to like 9 o'clock. Like get a few topics out of the way, certainly. So I'm not opposed to that. As long as everybody's here and we're fired up doing this, that does make some sense. Yes.
How long are the presentations perceived to be? Because that could be an issue.
So when we did them before, they were 40 minutes because they were capped by our Zoom demo
limit,
account.
Right.
And I think that's, you know, if we had them every week or something like that, I think that's reasonable. I think that you begin to hammer too much stuff in and it can be too crazy. I don't know.
Well, doing a, you know, like a post-net follow-up, like what we're kind of doing tonight kind of works. I'm thinking at least my presentations, they need about an hour. I mean, I can talk for 40 minutes, 45 minutes questions. So, you know, that's going to be pushing out to 9:30, 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night after the net. So I don't think a real solid presentation is going to work right after the net. That would have to be a different day. But stuff like this after the net, yeah, that's probably more reasonable for like tackling a couple topics that need to be dived into after the nets.
Well, what if it was recorded, and what if we were able to get in right at like 8:15? So if it went from like say like 8:15 to 9:15,
or if you make it a real micro topic.
Yeah.
Or in your case, do it over 2 evenings. You know, break your presentation up.
Could have it, you know, part one, you know, the first week, and part two the second week.
And if we're recording it, folks can catch up on part one and then catch part two live or catch it later.
Yeah. Next week on PNWDigital.
Same bad time.
Next week on PNWDigital.
Yeah.
Who shot?
Well, anyway, I'm going to bow out. I'm 21 minutes past my internal deadline. Thank you guys for sticking in there and coming back to Zoom. Anybody here from the first round of Zooms that we did? Oh, okay. Doug is.
I suppose
Great.
I am.
You didn't win the radio, did you? We gave radios away, a couple radios on Zoom and a bunch of stuff when we first started up.
Oh, that's right. I
Trying
forgot
to
about that.
get people to come to Zoom. And we had 75, 80 people there initially, but once the radios went away, the count dropped off. So I don't think there's a correlation, maybe causation, but regardless. Thanks for hanging in there. I'm out of here. Maybe see you next week. If nothing else, the way I see us doing Zoom, we back channel on Zoom for the gathering. So we're going to be in Zoom. It's all set up all, you know, at 8:15 or whenever we want to open it up. We can let folks in that have anything or just want to watch or listen or not participate. It's going to be up every week as part of the gathering. Now, whether we do anything formal presentations or not right after the meeting, don't know, but we're still trying to figure it out.
If you think you could keep it muted, you know, maybe I could keep it going for the whole net.
Well, I think we have the tools to mute folks, force it, right? So nobody could.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah,
except the host. I think if you're a co-host, you're not muted, so that would be good. Something to research, but that's an idea. But
Yeah.
I think at no sooner than 8 o'clock, you know, when the the check-in side is done, you know, we can let folks in for the questions. I think anyway. So we're still figuring it out. If you got any suggestions, come to you, shoot us an email or catch us over the air or back here next week. Okay, I am going. See you
Good
guys.
night.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right. All right. Okay. All right, guys. I think that'll wrap it up here. Thanks for hanging, Dave. Great net once again.
Thanks, Brad.
And we.
Did anyone else have anything before we cut it here?
7-8.
Okay.
All right.
73, Dave. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good discussion. Thank you, everybody.
Great. Thanks very much.
See y'all later.